Welcome back to Hoosier Sports Night. Last week it was announced that head football coach Terry Hoeppner would be sitting out the spring football season due to his continuing illness stemming from brain surgery last year. This is the second time in just a short period of time Coach Hoeppner will be sitting out football-related activities. In his absence, assistant coach Bill Lynch will be taking over the spring football duties, but it has been said that Coach Hoeppner will receive video footage of daily practices to continue his work while he is resting at home. Let's now bring in Ronan O'Shea to talk more about Coach Hoeppner. Ronan, first off, thanks for being here. Let's talk a little bit about Coach Hoeppner's situation. Can you fill us in on any information about the coach?
Sure thing. Well, if you recall, it started back in December of 2005, right around Christmas time, when he announced that he did need a first operation on the right side of his brain. He did come back very quickly. He was back with the team, but it was after the second game of last season, the come-from-behind victory at Ball State, that he once again announced that he would need to leave the team. A second operation was necessary. 3 weeks later, though, he's back with the team, head coach for the Big Ten opener when they got blown out by Wisconsin, and was with the team from then on out. But what first caught my attention with this was going back and looking at the press conference footage from the Purdue game, the loss at the end of the year, which again kept the drought alive of Indiana not being in a bowl game. He had a couple interesting quotes. First of all, when they asked him if his seniors were disappointed about not being able to play in a bowl game in their 4 or 5 years here at Indiana University, he said, while they may be disappointed, they've got their whole lives out in front of them. There's nothing better than enjoying life. I mean, that to me was a little bit strange coming from the coach at that time. Then just a couple weeks ago at National Signing Day, when he walked into the press room, he just didn't look like his normal self. He kind of labored into the room, looked very tired, his voice didn't sound right, and it was at that point that I at least began to suspect that things probably weren't going too well for him. I'm not that surprised that he's not with the team here for the spring football practice. Hopefully the press release is true and sincere in saying that he's just getting his energy back. If you think about everything he's done from the end of the season, having the operation, all the heavy recruiting, he really hasn't had much downtime, but it's certainly a concern, and it's a serious situation here at IU.
Now, Ronan, it's pretty obvious Coach Hoeppner has made an impact on this program since he's been here, but really, what has he meant to this program?
Well, I think if nothing else, he lit a fire underneath a very stagnant football program which hasn't been to a bowl game since 1993. When he took the job, one, it was his dream job, which is something that most people wouldn't expect, Indiana football being the premier job that you looked at. And two, he was optimistic that in his time at IU, he could take a team at some point to a bowl game. You look back at his first season, too. Blake Powers emerges as a pretty good quarterback. The atmosphere at Memorial Stadium and that night game, the victory against Kentucky, or the Big Ten win at home against Illinois, things were going pretty well. Then looking back at last year, all the key victories on the road coming from behind at Ball State, at Illinois, the upsets at home against Michigan State and number 13 Iowa, and then of course what he's been able to do with both students and alumni, actually putting people back in the seats at Memorial Stadium. Alumni tickets are up, students wearing the Coach Hoeppner shirts, of course, out in the student section as well. There's generally a sense that people are starting to care about IU football here, and then of course you can't overlook that he was instrumental in talking the IU Board of Trustees into that $55 million renovation, of course having the north end zone of Memorial Stadium closed in. So he's cleaned up the facilities in his time here, he's brought some big recruits to the team, and he's got an attitude that has people in Bloomington finally talking about football as well. I think he's done a lot for a program, and I have no doubt that if he's healthy and he can coach this team, he will get them to a bowl game in the next 1 or 2 years.
All right, probably an unknown guy here. Tell us a little bit about Bill Lynch.
Yeah, Bill Lynch, the offensive coordinator and assistant head coach, taking over the day-to-day duties for Coach Hoeppner. 28-year coaching career, primarily within the state of Indiana. For 7 years, he was a head coach at Ball State. Not very pretty, though. About 20 games under 500 in his time there, despite picking up 2 MAC titles in his tenure with the Cardinals. He's been with the Indiana Hoosiers, and if nothing else, the offense exploded under him last year. Of course, Kellen Lewis had the breakout year at quarterback. Indiana had their highest point total since 2001 with Lynch at the head coaching spot. But one thing to note, the 2 games that Hoeppner missed last year, Bill Lynch was the head coach. Home losses in the non-conference part of the schedule to Southern Illinois and UConn. While I certainly don't think that that's a very fair representation of what he's capable of doing as a head coach at the Division I level, if Coach Hoeppner needs to leave this team, I have no doubt that Indiana needs to open up the coaching search. But at least in the meantime, Bill Lynch will be the man, and hopefully, and I do think and hope, that Coach Hoeppner will be out there at the spring football game, at least watching the team.
All right, Ronan, thanks a lot for your time. The spring football game is just a couple of weeks away. Hopefully we'll be talking to you next time in better spirits.
Junior Nikki Smith scored a team-high 18 points to pace 4 Hoosiers in double figures as Indiana beat Iona 74-71 in the second round of the women's NIT last week. Sophomore Kim Roberson added 16 points and 3 steals off the bench. Senior Sarah McKay netted 15 points and added a team-high 9 rebounds to go along with 3 steals and 3 assists, while senior Leah Enterline scored 10 points and added 6 rebounds in the win.
An IU's third-round matchup with South Dakota State, junior Nikki Smith led 4 Hoosiers in double figures with a team-high 12 points. But it was not enough as the Hoosiers fell 60-53 and exited the women's NIT. The Hoosiers shot just 32% from the field, while South Dakota State won the battle on the boards 49-33, including a 17-10 advantage on the offensive glass. The Hoosiers end their season with a 19-14 record.